So how's the family, first of all?
They're good.
Did I see your daughter started like play school or
She
preschool or whatever?
is. She
How's
is.
that
She's
going?
starting a daycare, but I don't know if you have something similar, but it's called like it's not called daycare, it's called like day mom. So it's actually not like or let's say like a public facility or something. It's actually at someone's house.
Oh yeah, we that's what Sloan does as well. Like, well, we just call her minder, like child minder. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't. I think so. Here we have like creches where there's like 50 kids, and then there's like that type of thing where it's like a person's house, and there might be just one kid, or there might be like three, and then
Yeah,
whatever.
like
Yeah.
this is super nice because it's a girl and her mom, and they have two separate businesses, but then they live neighbors. So
Okay.
each of them have like six, seven kids, and then so in the if the kids come early in the morning, they just like that small group, and then during the day they are all together. So then they maybe like 14 kids, and
Oh
then
yeah.
later in the afternoon, if they're tired again, then they're just like a small group. So
That's good.
it's super nice because she's obviously still quite young, like she's 16 months now.
Okay.
Uh, so we didn't feel like we wanted to put her into this like huge daycare with like 30 kids and
Yeah. And is she going for like 3 hours, or is she going for how long is she going
she's
for?
she's going 5 hours Monday to Wednesday, so just 3 days, but 5 hours because then she gets like they get outdoor play and then they eat lunch. She have
Hmm.
her nap there, and then we pick her up after that. So she gets like a little bit of everything.
That's good. And
Yeah.
how did you find it? Like, say the first day she was going off, were you like wailing at the gate?
I mean, we're still at the first 2 weeks are like building up. So like the first week we were just there for 1 hour with her to play, and then this week she did yesterday. No, sorry, Monday she did 1 hour by herself. Yesterday she did 2 hours by herself, and then today she's doing 4 hours.
Right.
So today is the first day she's actually like sleeping there, and I was all like texting the teacher like, "Can you please let me know when she fell asleep?"
Yeah.
And she sent me a picture like, yeah, she fell asleep in like 2 seconds, and I was just like sobbing in the car looking at the picture.
Yeah, we're at a similar phase where our second child is, so my wife's back to work after Easter,
Yeah,
and he's at the our like, what did you call it? Day mom. He's at
yeah,
our day mom for, like, from this morning. I dropped the two of them off this morning, and he's being collected like now, so like three
okay,
hours or 4 hours.
yeah.
But like it's an adjustment. Like, I came
It
home
is.
and the house was empty, and I was like, this is fucking weird. Like,
That's the worst.
where's all the noise? Like, where? And like,
Yeah,
it's not, you're kind of, when things are shit, like when there's a stressful scenario, you're like, oh my God, just give me 2 minutes. And then when they're
yeah.
gone, you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's like,
Where
what
is
do I
all
do with my
the
hands? Like, where?
noise?
Yeah.
It was like that when Elsa were gonna sleep at my dad's house for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And he lives 3 minutes walk away from our house, so it's like he's basically our neighbor. And we
Yeah.
dropped her off, and then we went to training, and like that's all fine because you've been with them like when we trained before, so it's
Yeah.
nothing weird. And then we got home from training like with groceries and stuff, and I just stood there, and Phil turns around in the kitchen, and I just stood there like sobbing, crying. He's like, what's wrong? I was like, it's so quiet, where is Elsa?
Yeah, yeah. Why am I not
It's so
telling my
weird.
child to put that down, or like stop leaning over the edge of that thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, our like so Sloane is, she's a bit older than Elsa, kind of falls in between the two of ours. Sloane
okay.
is like two and a bit.
Yeah.
Um, but she's recently dropped her nap, so she doesn't like
Okay, she doesn't
sleep
sleep.
during the day. Um, which is just ignorant. Like, it's just abhorrent that she's decided that this is just a thing now. Where, like, so she's been staying at home. She's been going to the childminder like 3 days a week and staying at home the other 2 days because,
Yeah.
Orla wants to spend time with her or whatever. And yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. Like, because she's like, she clearly needs a nap. Like, she's
Yeah.
exhausted, she's
Yeah.
ratty. And like the nap used to reset things. Like, coming towards the nap, you'd be like, all right, okay, like,
It's
it's
time.
time for the
Mhm.
nap now. She's getting a bit pissed off, and you put her down, and then she's refreshed, and then the same
Yeah.
thing happens coming towards bedtime.
Mhm.
Whereas now it's like, oh God, like, what do we do? And then we're trying to get like the baby into some kind of routine where he's like, just because it'd be so mean on the minder, being like, here you go, we don't really know when he sleeps, so best of luck. So
Good luck.
we're trying to get him into a routine. But then if Sloane's in a bad mood because she's tired, she's like, no, nobody
No,
sleeps. So she's
no one
like
can
going
sleep in
around being
this
like, wake
house.
up, Bodhi, and like shaking him and stuff. So yeah, no, that's our current setup. So
That sounds
today,
great.
yeah, she went to the minders today. The two of them went. So it was a heightened version of like, what do we do now? Like one of us, because we had that with Sloan where it was like one of us would do something and the other one would have Sloan. And then when
Yeah.
Bodhi came along, it was like one of us would do something really fast and the other one would have the two kids, and then you'd swap. Whereas now it's like today, it was just like we both trained together. I painted, like it's like I don't know what, like,
So
and no
what
matter
did all
what I
this
get
time
done,
come from?
I know, but no matter what I get done, I know by the time she comes home, I'm like, oh, I did fucking nothing today. Like, it's just because like when she comes home, everything's so intense again that you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing you could probably do if your kid was gone for a while would be have like a spa treatment or something. Because I feel
Yeah.
like as soon as they come home, you just stiffen back up again. Yeah. So I was looking up. So thank you for doing this. Actually, first of all, I should say that.
Yeah, no worries.
I
It's cool.
appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah.
I was looking up some of your stats. So like the games website is always my first port of call. And like one thing that jumped out, so you did your first open in 2014. Is that the first time you recorded your score, or is that the first time you did the open?
That's the first time I did the open.
And then you qualified for the games in 2015 then.
Yeah.
So like the next year. How long had you been doing CrossFit before that open? Do you know?
I mean, I started in 2013.
Okay.
I started doing classes.
And what had you been like active before that? Had you been sporty, played other sports?
So I did grappling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Wow, okay.
And I was traveling to Brazil to I wanted to upgrade my belt. And
Okay.
I have been to Brazil before and I wanted to go again. And I knew like if I was in good shape, I could like get a new belt and stuff. So I wanted to get like fitter and stronger. So then one of my friends recommended CrossFit. So I started to go do a few classes a week outside of my jiu-jitsu training. And that's kind of how I got into it. And then I went to Brazil and I got my new belt and everything was great. But then I just loved CrossFit so much. So when I came back, I just didn't do jiu-jitsu anymore. I just started doing CrossFit.
And were you in Malmo at the time, or where?
No, then I was in Westeros.
Okay. That's in
So
Game of Thrones, right?
that's in Game of Thrones. That's correct. Only
Sorry,
people lived here with me.
I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. I know, like, I have a vague idea of how the sport works or whatever.
Mhm.
But so if I start jiu-jitsu and I want to get a belt, I have to go to Brazil to get it, or was that just
No,
what you chose to do?
no, you don't have to. Like, it's a certain people that can give out belts. Like, not
Okay.
anyone can upgrade your level. Like, it has to be a trainer and like a black belt, like the highest level.
Yeah.
But I had been to Brazil the year before to just train.
So
So
you
I
like had you Olympic aspirations then, or had you like professional aspirations, or?
no, I mean, I take sports that I do quite seriously. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really like to mess around. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So I started jiu-jitsu and I was just like quite good at it. And I competed at like when I started, it was not that many girls in Sweden in our region that did grappling. So I had to go, like, my fights were against boys. But then in jiu-jitsu it was more girls. So I don't know, the difference between jiu-jitsu and grappling is in grappling you just wear like shorts and a tank or something, and jiu-jitsu you wear actually the gi, like the kimono.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can do different things because you use that for like submissions. So I just wanted to go to Brazil because it was a very good trainer there, like a world famous trainer. So I just felt like it would be a special thing to get my belt from him. Because it's kind of a thing in jiu-jitsu, like who'd give you your belt, and that kind of shows also a standard.
What did your parents do? Did they still work, or are they retired?
No, they work.
And what do they work at? I'm because as a parent, I'm like, oh my God, if Sloan came to me and was like, hey, so I found this sport and I'm going to Brazil, I'd be like, fuck's sake.
So my mom actually, she was home with us for 16 years. Like, I have a lot of sisters. We are 6 girls.
Yeah.
So mom was home with us for 16 years. And dad is working in like marketing.
Okay.
But I mean, they have always been super supportive. I think like my mom was gonna die when I left for Brazil because I was only 23 and I left by myself for a month.
Wow. And had
Uh,
you had you contacts over it? Like, did you know where you were going and where you were going to
I mean,
stay and
not
that?
really. I
It
send
was
an
kind of
email to someone.
backpacking-ish kind of thing, was it?
Yeah, I sent an email to someone that doesn't really speak English and just said like, "Oh, I'm gonna come and train," and they were like, "Yeah, cool." I just booked like a hostel. So that was like a crazy trip, but it was really good. And then the next year, actually, because then I wanted to go back to get my upgrade my belt and stuff. My dad and one of my trainers came with me, so we were there for
Okay.
another month the year after. But I mean, my parents have just been always super supportive and like believing in what I wanted to do. And even though they think like this is nuts, they always like try to be supportive and push me to do things.
And did you say you have 6 sisters or the 6 of you all together?
Yeah, it's 6 of us, so I have 5
Okay.
sisters. Yeah.
And what are they all younger, older, or is it a mix?
I have one older sister and then 4 younger. So we are born between 89 and 2000.
Okay.
So we're quite tight, like 11
Yeah.
years, 6 kids.
And are the rest of them like sporty? Are they all doing CrossFit now, or do they follow it, or how does that work?
No, it's the one that is younger than me, 3 years younger than me, Ida. She's doing both weightlifting and CrossFit.
Okay.
She's on a team right now that just qualified for semifinals, and she's been doing
Cool.
like European Championship in weightlifting. So we are like a very similar path.
Hmm.
The other ones are have horses. They do
Okay,
like
cool.
show jumping and stuff.
And are your family aware of like what the games is and that you've been there and how big a deal it is and like what you've done and what Phil's done? Like, is it because I know when I talk to people about CrossFit, they're like, the fuck are you talking about? And like, you can see their eyes kind of glaze over.
I mean, my parents definitely do, and like Ida, of course, because she's into this
Yeah.
world of CrossFit. I think my other sisters are like doing horses. They have like no clue
Yeah. They're like,
what
put
the
it in
horse.
horse terms. What's the horse equivalent of what you've done? Like how high is the jump? Like compare it somehow. Yeah, yeah, I get you. Um, when when did you meet Phil then?
So Phil and I met 2016 when I moved to Dubai.
Okay. Oh, that was
Yeah.
in that the gym that I can never pronounce. Aliot.
No, so actually we met at Inner Fight,
Okay.
where he was working at the time and Carmen Bosmans was working.
Okay.
And me and Carmen had been at in September 2015. We were on a training camp together in Iceland, and she was just gonna move to Dubai after that. Like a month after our training camp, she was gonna move, and we were all talking about it and stuff. And then I ended up getting a job offer, so I contacted Carmen again and I said, "Hey, I got this job offer." She's like, "Oh, you should come and work with us if you're gonna come." And then I went to visit, and then I got like a job offer from. Sorry, I thought I was gonna sneeze. Then I got another job offer from Inner Fight, then where Carmen and Phil was working. So then Phil and I worked there for another 2 years, and then we moved over to Alioth.
Like, okay. So at what point? So say you start CrossFit 2013, and then you do your first open in 2014. So say I assume you started like late-ish 2013 then, and then the
Mm-hmm.
opens in February, and then like, is it during that open? Are you like, okay, I really like this, or are you like, I'm really good at this, or I could be really good at this? Like, at what point does it turn into, I'm going to go to a training camp in Iceland and I'm going to move and I'm going to work at this? And I like, where do your aspirations turn from just, oh, this is fun, maybe I like this more than jujitsu, to I'm going like, all in on this?
So quite early, I realized that I was like natural, strong, and good at weightlifting. And that is quite like a appealing and exciting thing. Like, oh, I can do more weights, and I can do more weights, and like, you know, you get this like beginner curve in the
Peak,
start as
yeah.
well when you're just learning. And I had never done like any kind of gym stuff before growing up. So I had never done anything with the barbell before, and then I turned out to be like quite good at it and very strong early. And then again, like, and I realize I'm quite good at it, then I take it super seriously straight away. So at the time, I was working at IKEA, and sometimes I could work shift like from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and I will go to the gym at 6 a.m. in the morning to get my session done before. So quite early, I stopped and doing classes, and I asked the coach at the gym, can you write me a program? Because I want to get better, I want to compete. And then I just like signed up for my first competition. I couldn't do double unders, but then I practiced double unders every day until I could do double unders. And then like it just kept going like that. But I mean, during the Open 2014, I could still not do ring muscle ups. So that was like a huge part that held me back. Like the gymnastics have always been a lot harder for me to get good at than the weightlifting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I knew straight away that this is what I wanted to do, and I
And
started.
is
Spend a
that
lot.
like, do you think the jiu-jitsu gave you like power, you know, like cues for power, we'll say, for weightlifting that transferred over, whereas the skills maybe don't transfer as quickly over to what's required for gymnastics, or what, or do you think it's just DNA?
I mean, I would say both,
Yeah.
and I mean also the fact that just like I grew up on a farm, like I've been doing stuff like we had horses from I got my first horse when I was 4. So and we always had to take care of them ourselves. It's like you're gonna have horses, you're gonna take care of them. So we have to go out and feed them and clean their box and like lift hay bales and everything like by ourselves when we were young kids. So we've also always been very active. And I think that's just built like a strong foundation because it's the same with my sister. She's also incredibly strong. So I think it's a bit both, like how we are grew up on the farm and stuff, and then also DNA. Also, like with weightlifting, it's benefit how your like body compositions are. Like I have a typical weightlifting body, like I have short legs and a long torso, so squatting like is perfect for me. So like you end up in good angles for the lifting, right?
Yeah. So you went to the games in 2015. And then like when you were there on the team, were you like, because obviously you're individual now. So like when you were there on the team, were you like, oh, this is amazing, this is exactly what I wanted, this is perfect? Or at even like then were you thinking, oh, maybe individual, like, because there's always kind of a team or individual thing with people, like with athletes, and I'm curious,
Yeah.
like, did you have aspirations to go individual then, or is that just sort of how things panned out?
No, I mean I love being on a team, and the fact like I was on a team with the people that I was like looking up to so much. Like they kind of headhunted me to the team, and that's why I moved to Malmö, because they sent me a message in the fall 2014 like, hey, do you want to go a team with us? We're going to try to qualify for the CrossFit Games. And I was like, oh my god, this is the people I just like stalk on Instagram. I didn't know them or anything. It was super random, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm game, like let's do it. So that year, the games was like such a cool experience, and I was just like starstruck by everything. But I definitely knew like I wanted to do it more and better. And then, but I didn't have like set like next year I'm gonna go individual or something. That just kind of happened with moving to Dubai, and Carmen and Phil was going individual. Like it was no team in Dubai. So then that just kind of happened. So then for 16, 17 and 18 like try to go individual, and then back in 2019 then got the opportunity to put the teams together when you could do the super teams, because that was kind of the first time we got opportunity to then put the team together. And I'm not really team individual or team because I think both are really fun in different ways. So I mean, I'm going individual this year and see how far I can get, and then I don't know what's going to happen next year. But I do know, like, if I'm going team, it has to be with the right people. I'm not just doing it for doing it. Then I'd rather not go. I know
Yeah.
some people will be like, I go in team with anyone, just like, so I go to the games. That's the only thing that matters. But if I'm gonna go in a team, it's gonna be like with a very good team with people that I like and that I think can do well at the games.
Yeah.
Uh,
So sorry, I'm kind of jumping back and forth here. So when you met Phil, like how long after you met, like were you in a relationship then when he went? Because he was it 2016 he went to the games.
no, 2015.
Okay,
So
were
we
you
were
together
there.
then? No.
No, like we didn't know each other back in
Okay.
2015.
Okay.
I had no idea who he was. We were at the games at the same time, but we never like interacted or anything.
Okay.
Uh,
And then he was you were in Dubai together then, started working together,
mhm.
caught each other's eye across a chalk bucket or whatever. Um, a dove flew in the window. And then so when like because I know like say I have like me and my wife or my wife and I just did a workout together there a while ago, and it was like an EMOM of like something different every minute, and then you rest for a minute and you just
Huh?
keep going. And like we I don't know if we train well together. Like I know like say doing the open, I'm comfortable enough with her that I'm myself all the time. And during a workout, I'm not a nice person. Like, whereas if there's like, say, if you were judging me at a workout, I just bite my tongue and I'd be like, "Don't be an asshole to her."
Yeah,
Like, just
yeah.
say, "Okay, thanks." Whereas, like, when Orla's judging me at a workout and she tells me like, "Oh, you're nearly halfway there," I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like, I
Shut
do
the
not.
fuck up right now.
You are not helping me. Like, this is not. Just stop talking to me. Um, but it's all said with love. So like I'm curious of like I'm picturing myself and her on a team, and it just like it would not
You'd
work
be like,
well.
what a nightmare.
And it's not like purely from my end. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure she'd be a wonderful teammate, but I'm just like I'd be unbearable, I'd say. Um, like was there any kind of reluctance there in 2019 when that opportunity came up? Was there any kind of like, oh, are we sure this is a good idea, or was it just like the right thing
Uh,
to do?
no, I mean, I guess it takes practice to be able to like train and compete at this level together because, of course, it brings a lot of stress and like individual stress. And then you're going to try to also deal with your partner's stress and your own. So, I mean, of course, it's been taking time. But I think it's just like to build understanding and respect for how the other person is reacting. And also maybe knowing like, of course, things can be said during a workout that you doesn't really mean by heart. And we always been saying like when we're doing teams and stuff, like if someone uses a tone during a workout or screams something, like don't take it too seriously right then, and we can talk about it after.
Yeah.
Because
It's not fair
sometimes
to judge someone when they have no oxygen going to their brain, to be fair.
exactly. And I mean, Phil and I had like situations before. It's one time in Switzerland, and we did a team competition. This is our first team competition together. It's quite early, like in our relationship as well. And it was a mountain run, and I had really trouble with the altitude. So we were gonna run 5K or something in the mountains, and I could not oxygen myself. Like my heart rate was fine, but I could not breathe. Like I could not get air in, and it was this really steep hill up. And Phil was like, "Come on, let's go!" And I was like walking, hands on my knees, and I'm like, "I'm trying." He was like, "No, you're not. Try harder." And I mean, that was like close to the end of our relationship.
Yeah.
But it was like, and then we had a similar thing in when we competed in Dubai, and we had to do synchronized GHDs. And I'm a kind of this person at GHD that want to go like slow but like continuous, like
Yeah.
keep going. I feel can't go slow. He wants to go fast and then rest. So we are actually terrible to synchronize stuff because we're the opposites. And also that was also a tough time. But I mean, after the workout, it's fine. Like even though I hate him right there and then, and like never want to see his face again, after the workout is fine.
Yeah. A
Just
grieving
know,
period after workout, and then you give each other some space, and then it's fine. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think when we went
Um,
on a team to the games, we just tried to have like clear roles as well, like who is going to be a team captain, even though it's not a person deciding everything. It needs to be someone in the team that maybe has a final decision if everybody's not agreeing, or and we just had that kind of set as we created a team to like make it as easy as possible for everybody.
You so Elsa is 16 months, is that what you said? So when was that? Like last, like June, 12 months, is that right? No. Oh my god, I'm so shit at maths. September,
She is
12
born
months.
in December.
December. Oh my god, I'm so shit at maths. What date in December?
11th.
Okay, Sloane's the 21st. So okay, so she's 1 in December.
She's
So
1
she
year
was
and 4
born.
months.
So she was born. So you did quarterfinals last year, and she was like 5 months old.
She was like 4 months.
Fuck. So okay, I'm not shit at maths. I was just in disbelief there. I was like, no, I'm definitely
You're like,
wrong.
no,
I
no,
have
no, no,
something
no, this
wrong.
cannot be.
Either she didn't make it to quarterfinals, or the baby's like 5. I've made a mistake somewhere.
No.
Okay, so she was born in December. Okay, we'll go back to when you were with child. So like, did you up until what point did you train? I'll use the word normally, but I know there's adaptations made. I know you wouldn't be like doing like crazy heavy cleans or anything, like, you know, but like at what point did you train like normally, of doing like, you know, intense training, we'll say?
I mean, quite long. Like, I mean, I try to keep like the intensity and like still hard training, and just as you get along, just taking more and more movements out. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you can't train hard, right? It's just not with all movements. And I mean, early in the pregnancy, I was still like lifting heavy and squatting like heavy.
Yeah.
Then quite early, I got issues with my like a nerve, so I couldn't do squatting or rowing.
Okay.
I had to change quite a lot, but I mean, I kept training until the day my water broke. But I mean, in the end, you're exhausted, and then I just kind of put like, okay, today I just have to do. I'm just gonna move for half an hour, and that's my
Yeah. Yeah.
training. Like, no matter what that movement is, if that is on the bike or some dumbbell snatches, or you know.
Did you get much? Did you get much flack for training? Like, did you get many like messages or, you know, comments or anything from people? Because I know people are great at telling other people what they
Yeah,
should be doing.
yeah, hello.
Especially people who'll never be pregnant, like men.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
great for telling
Loads
women
of
what they should
messages
do.
from men, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
great tips, thank you. I'm sure you know what it feels like. No, you
Because
do get a lot.
the general rule of thumb, isn't it? Like, well, this is all coming like third party from Orla, but I know her thing on it was like, don't start anything new. Like, if you never did swimming, like, you know, if you never did like diving, don't suddenly start diving. Or if you never did
Exactly.
like dumbbell snatches, don't suddenly be like, do you know what I'm going to start doing? But
No,
she seemed to be similar, where she trained. She did two. She did two pregnant opens.
really.
Yeah, so she was pregnant with Sloane, did the open. Pretty sure she still bet me. And then she was pregnant with Bodie and did the open. So this is her first not pregnant open.
Really?
But yeah, she was similar. So like, she did, instead of box jumps, she did box step ups, and instead of
Exactly.
whatever, you know, barbell stuff, she did dumbbell stuff, and
Yeah.
she kind of cut down on overhead stuff, and then cut down on hanging out of the bar and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, and like, okay, so you gave birth in December. Jesus, you gave birth in December and then did the Open in February and qualified for quarterfinals out of the Open. Were you expecting that to happen?
No, I was not even sure if I was gonna do the open, because I still hadn't done any skipping, I hadn't done any box jumps or anything. So I was like, oh, should I do it or not? But then I really miss it, and I love like the community and just like to be with the guys in the gym. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. The first work I got released, I can't remember, was the first one the wall walks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I'm just gonna do it and see what happens. I try some skipping. I just do small sets if I can get through 2 rounds or whatever. Like, it's just for fun. So they were videoing me, and in the beginning, I'm just like lying on the floor complaining how tough it is for my shoulder through the wall walks, and I'm like tripping on the skipping rope and just like laughing about it. And then kind of way like halfway through the workout, and just like the competitive mindset kicks in, and I'm just like, I'm gonna crush this. And in the end, it's a video of me doing the walks, and I'm just like making so many noises and like killing myself. But it was such a good feeling as well to feel like the body was responding. Like, of course, the
Yeah.
double up was very, very hard, and I didn't do any bigger sets than I think 30 unbroken because I wanted to give my pelvic floor a rest. But it was still like such a nice feeling to feel like I can be back in the gym and like
Yeah.
push hard. And then it was the same with the dumbbell snatches and box jumps. Like, can I do burpee box jumps? And I just start and go and see what happens. And but then I was like, oh, quarterfinals, I should not do quarterfinals. Like, that's stupid. And then Phil was like, you're gonna want to do it anyway, so just sign up and do it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But then it was quite good because then the workout with the GHG sit-ups came, and I was just like, no, this is not worth it. So I just didn't do that workout at all. Like, I didn't want to put that strain on my abs. So it was quite good. It was a workout with that many GHGs because that didn't tempt me to try it.
Yeah.
Like, if it would have been something else with, I don't know, 15 reps for this many rounds, then maybe it's like, oh, I can probably do it. But now it was so many. It started out with 50 reps, and I was like, nah.
Yeah. And how did you feel? Like, so when you went back, like, how long after, say, the 11th of December did you start training? Because I know, like, when Orla went back, she kind of followed, I suppose, like Annie's model of kind of like like waiting what on the outside might look like too long to do things. Like other people, like I remember she went back to the gym after Bodhi was born, a good, like, like relatively recently. And he's like 7 months old now. And I remember she came home and said that she overheard someone saying, is this her first time back now? God, how old is the baby? And like, so to that person, obviously they were like, oh, why wasn't she back? Like, with her hospital
People.
gown on or whatever. But like, I think she just was like, I want to be like 40 and going to the gym, not like 40 thinking, oh, why did I go back too soon?
Yeah.
But one of the things both times when she had a kid, and I've asked her if I can mention this, I'm not just speaking on her behalf, but she felt like almost like she didn't trust her body or something, or like she had to, that it just felt like abnormal, like that it was just like, it was almost like she was relearning things, but then was nervous, couldn't trust herself fully to do things. And then that it felt like she was kind of in someone else's body training rather than, like, she didn't recognize her own body kind of when she was training.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's a bit scary in the beginning, like the first time you're gonna try something, or like for me, especially squatting and stuff felt really scary. Because like, I mean, I pushed a human out of there. Like, what's gonna happen if I do a heavy squat? And it is scary, like especially when you're trying something new or you try a weight for the first time, and like, how is this gonna feel? And then I found once I was back feeling more like safe with myself, I still didn't recognize how things felt, and like my head wanted a lot more than my body wanted. For example, in quarterfinals, it was this rowing and wall ball workout, and I just did not have that last push, like in a workout like that, when you should be able to like end yourself and you'd be on the floor blacked out after. Like, of course I was extremely tired, but I was sat like, oh, well, that was disappointing, because in my head I was like, go, 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 but my body would not agree with me, so like I couldn't push. And that it was been like extremely hard to get back to. But for me, it was like once I stopped breastfeeding, I was breastfeeding for 11 months. And once like we started to ease off with that, then that slowly started to come back. So it's definitely like a weird feeling of like maybe the head or your mind wants more than the body can do. And kind of accept that and like build back, and not expect it's coming back straight away.
Yeah, like, like breastfeeding is great, and like, there's so many studies and everything, but like it's so demanding, like it's so like even just from looking at Orla, like she's just like used, like so regularly, like, it's just like 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, like middle of the day, like more breakfast, like all the
Yeah.
time. It's just,
Yeah.
and then it's like it turns into a thing where it's just so easy. It's just like, oh, the baby's crying, I'll just feed it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's hard. And then from our experience with the two, they just don't sleep. Like I talk to like people who've had kids who've been bottle fed. I remember one of my friends said once he had a kid just after we had Sloan, and he was like, "How are you finding sleep?" And I was like, "Ah, it's rough." Like,
Mm.
and she was a fucking nightmare. She had like silent reflux, and we used to walk with the buggy or the pram or whatever, walk around trying to get her to sleep, and then you'd bump the wheel coming in the door, and she'd wake up again, and you just have to turn around and go again. And this is at like 11 o'clock at night. And I was telling him this story, and he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're probably not that bad now." He was like, "No, like we put her down at 7, and then we'd have to wake her up at whatever 8 for a bottle." And I was like, "Why don't you just give her the bottle before you put her to bed, or put her to bed later then?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And it turned out he meant we put her to bed at 7 p.m. and we have to wake her up at 8 a.m. for the bottle. And I was like, "Why are you complaining about this?" I was like, "That's
You're
more
like,
sleep
that
than I
sounds
had before we had a
awful.
kid." I was like, "Jeez, like what?"
Um,
Yeah, we're not friends anymore.
no, he's an old friend.
Um, so okay, so then like you make quarterfinals last year, and then so are you like, because obviously I think a lot of people, like, it must have been so hard with, because like squats, like strength is your bread and butter, like
Mm.
that's your major strong point,
Yeah.
is your strong point, that you're the fact that you're strong. So like when you have to kind of learn to trust yourself and stuff again, like, oh god, it must be just so difficult to be like, oh, here's this thing that I'm really good at and that I always do, and that, like, as you said, came naturally and was like in your DNA or
Yeah.
whatever, to suddenly be like, oh shit, like what
I
if
can't do it anymore.
yeah, like that must be really hard.
It's
um
been like tough mentally, definitely.
and was that just like persistence that got you through it, like just kind of, like, I suppose just similar to building up your strength, you just kind of build up the experience under the bar again.
Yeah. And even though it's been tough, like I've always been like from the start of coming back, I'm sure for some people it looked like I haven't been careful and I've been lifting heavy weights, but you have to remember like what could I do before
Yeah,
getting pregnant? Like what's 50% for me is maybe 100% for someone else. So like you can't compare. But for me, like I have gone back slow in weights. And I mean it took very, very long time before I like even went to a fail, like most of the times, and still I would never go to a fail of any
yeah,
lift. Like I would build up and then now today I could do 65 kilo snatch, and then next week I'm gonna try 67 and a half. And even though that felt great, I wouldn't try more that week.
yeah,
And then the next week I could do like, and I've just been like building it back like that and trusting that when I need my strength to be back, it will be back, but like I don't want to push it. And I think that's been like super like helpful and successful. Like looking back now at quarterfinals this year, and I managed to do like a really good squat clean at 118 kilos. And the heaviest I've done coming back from pregnancy before is 111. But I mean, I
yeah,
also not tried more.
yeah.
And
Do
I
you feel
just,
do you feel now like Mia, say mid 2019? Like, are you back to where, like, do you think you're at your peak, or do you think you're still on your way back?
uh, I mean, some stuff I'm getting there, but I'm still not there yet.
Yeah,
But I'm also like, as I said, like I also not testing it to my max. Like before, I
yeah,
would
yeah,
like try to build up at maxes like quite regular and often. Like if I fail, I fail. It's fine. Then I know that was my max. But still now, like after 118 clean, I didn't try anything more. Phil was like, you probably have 120 plus in the legs. It looked so easy. And I said, but it's enough.
mm,
Because I could still then feel like some pelvic floor and I don't want to push it. It doesn't
yeah,
have to be the best that day, you know?
mm.
Um,
Um. So you're in Lowlands, isn't that right, for semifinals?
that's correct. Yeah,
Uh, you qualified for the games there, didn't you?
I did with the team.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
Um, look, like when you, I'm kind of every time I look at the games leaderboard and click on the different semi-finals, no matter what semi-final I go on to, I'm like, oh well, that's the hardest one, and then I click on the next one, I'm like, oh well, that's the hardest one. So
That's
like
definitely the hardest one.
we're kind of getting to the point of the season now where it's like the cream is rising to the top, and like
Mm.
it's obviously the what would you call it? The opening in the funnel is much thinner now. Um, and like when you look at Lowlands, uh, like there's some like big names, like heavy hitters going to
Yeah,
Lowlands.
yeah.
Um, like, are you daunted by that? Are you excited by it? Are you like ignoring it, or are you thinking about it? How is that working?
No, I mean, I'm mostly excited to be honest. I mean, for me, even this year, because last year, like coming back and like training for this season has been far from optimal. Like with the breastfeeding, and also we had a baby that refused to sleep. Like I had like 3 hours of sleep for a year. And I mean that is not the best. So like going into this season was like I'm gonna do everything I can, but I also gonna remember like my year to train for this season had looked very very different to everybody else that I'm competing against.
Yeah,
So like to not put a too high pressure on myself. But then like going into quarterfinals and open, I was very casual with, and then my placement reflected that, and I was a bit stressed and like, wow, I'm not ready. But then when quarterfinal came, and I was like, it's game now. Then it's a different story. Like, okay, I can actually like challenge these girls in a lot of workouts.
mm,
So going into quarterfinals, like I'm super excited, and of course, it's some like really big names. Like you look at Laura and Gabby in my region at Lowlands, they're like top 5 games finishers.
mm,
Uh, but I'm super excited to like go against them and see what's gonna happen.
mm. What like have you thought about your season? As in, are you looking beyond semi-final, thinking, say, like in September, when you sit back and think, all right, was it a successful season? What are the things that would allow you to say yes, or would stop you from saying yes, do you think?
I think the biggest thing for me this year has been like really working on my like my mental game and how I execute and attack the workouts. I think before I've been a bit, I don't know how to say, but after a workout, I will just straight away be like, oh, I could have done this better and this better and this better. And like, and now I'm really trying to like attack the workouts. So I feel like at least I tried my best. And was that not the best way to attack it? Maybe.
Yeah,
But like the effort was there. Like often now after workouts and when we reflect on how they were, I talk about my effort and not the result.
yeah,
So if the effort's been there, then it's a successful season.
yeah,
So like I think that will be my biggest like to look and how to reflect how the season's been is my effort in everything we do. So
yeah,
like for my effort in quarterfinals, I'm super happy because I felt like I was focused on each workout and like executed them as well as I could, like no matter of the outcome. And that is kind of the like mentality and feeling I want to bring to semifinals as well, to not focus on what the other girls are doing, but like what can I do in this certain workout.
yeah. No, I think that's good. It's echoing a lot of. I had Brent on the other week, and it's echoing a lot of what he was saying. And like,
Okay.
he's someone I'd view as like he's the pinnacle. Like he's like, he was on the podium at the games last year, and he was
Mm.
saying very similar things of like
Okay.
it's easy to get sucked in and to be like, what was the one he said? He was like, oh, someone runs a mile in 3 minutes 38. He was like, I'm not going to just tie on my shoes and go running. Like, he's like, it's not going to end well. Yeah, so that's I think that's a good way of looking at it. Is there many? How many prepared athletes are going to semifinals? Is there a team? Did one of the teams in quarterfinals last week? Did they?
So we have the team from CrossFit Walleye that my sister is
Yeah.
on. So they are going, and then we have
Is
Team
that
Nordic.
Lowlands as well?
They don't know yet. They get to know in a week
Oh,
or
of
so.
course. Yeah.
And
Of
then we
course.
have the CrossFit Nordic team that came third, which we have
Okay.
2 prepared athletes in.
That's cool.
And then we have Victor Ljungdahl, like another Swedish guy. He qualified. He's also going to Lowland. And then I think it's a Spanish guy and a Russian guy as well that have qualified.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Hopefully, I suppose the best case scenario would be your sister goes to strength and depth, because then, I mean, it's more expensive because you have to go to 2 semifinals, but it's better
I
because
know,
you're
at the
not
same time, it'd be
distracted.
so cool to have them at the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'd be good anyway, but it would also be good
Exciting.
to have her at the same.
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, well, look, we'll finish with a quick fire. So they're all either or. So snatch or clean,
Snatch.
dumbbell or barbell,
Barbell.
run or swim,
Oi. Run.
row or ski,
Ski.
and sprint or chipper.
Sprint.
Cool. Well, look, thank you for coming on. It's been great getting to chat to you, and best of luck with semi-finals. Hopefully, I'll see you. I'm going to Lowland. I'm going to both of them, but hopefully, I'll see you at Lowlands. That'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
And best of luck with it. Best of luck with you have another few weeks of prep, I suppose, and then hitting the big stage. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Especially exciting because did you qualify in 2020? Did you qualify through the Australian
I did.
CrossFit Championship or something? And what happened there? Because you didn't do the phase 1, did you not?
No, because I got pregnant.
Okay, yeah. I mean, as excuses go, it's fair.
No, so it was like, I will make the story short. Like we were trying to get pregnant before, and then like I'm just gonna compete until I get pregnant. Like you never know, it can take 1, 2, 3 years.
Yeah,
And then went to Australia and then qualified for the CrossFit Games, and then like, what are we gonna do now? It's like, we just see what happens. And then 2 weeks later, great, I'm pregnant.
yeah.
But then like looking back at it,
timing is
also,
everything.
like that season was a mess anyway. So like,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
it was not the worst season to miss out on.
Yeah, no, it'd be worse timing if you were like, I'm going to semi-finals, and I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like at least that,
Yeah.
there was no live competition after that, and it was kind of weird.
No, I know. That's why I feel like this year, because 2019 I also qualified, but then they declined it because I was going with the team. I qualified out of South Africa 2019.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then 2020 out of Australia, but declined it again because then I was pregnant. So let's see what happens.
I didn't realize that 2019. So when you were you immediately like, nope, or was there like a month of, oh god, like should I, like would they be able to get another person? Like how did that work?
I mean, of course, it was like, you think about it twice, right? It's a huge thing. Like you've been training since 2013 and wanted to go to CrossFit Games, and then you make it, and then you're gonna decline it because you're gonna go with the team. But at the same time, like we had agreed on the team already, and like I wanted to stay true to that. Yeah. So it was the right decision to make. But of course, you think twice before you press that decline.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, look, hopefully this year you get your accept email. So yeah, thanks very much, and
okay,
all
thank
the
you
best.
so much for having me.
Thank you.